Welcome. Thank you for your interest in the ROTC program. I hope this short information brief will help answer some of your questions. Please note that WMU is the host ROTC program for several of this area's institutions, and we can also be a source of information for any ROTC program in the nation. We look forward to hearing from you. So why ROTC? Well, first of all, less than 1% of this population of the United States serves in the military. So I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for even considering being a member of this time-honored institution. To be an Army officer, you need to have a bachelor's degree. So it's very easy to go down and join the military, but when you join that route, they're going to put service first, education when you can get it in there. But this non-negotiable requirement is why ROTC sees it as education first, service second. With Army ROTC, you have the options of what you want your career after college to look like. Let's say you're a flight science major. You have networked with pilots, had an amazing internship, and have follow-on employment right after college. You might want to be part-time in the National Guard or Army Reserve while pursuing your flying career full-time. Or you may also want to have the ability to complete for active duty and fly full-time in the Army for active duty. You have those options. You can try ROTC up until the start of your junior year with no commitment to the military. And the first 4 years of ROTC classes actually takes credit for your basic training. So let's talk about your commitment while in school. You'll have physical fitness 3 days a week for an hour. You'll then meet up for class once a week and lab once a week. As a freshman, you're seen as the quote-unquote private. But what we're really doing is seeing how well you can follow, because you cannot be a good leader unless you are a good follower. As a sophomore, you're a team leader. You will have a couple of freshmen that you're responsible for, and now you start developing your own personal leadership style. As a junior, you are the sergeants of the organization. You will rotate through leadership roles from a squad leader who has about 10 people they are responsible for to a company first sergeant who can have over 50. Between your junior and senior year, you will go to advanced camp where you will be assessed on the things you have learned in your past 3 years of ROTC, like land navigation, rifle marksmanship, squad level tactics, and platoon level movements. As a senior, you are the officers of the battalion. Here you are creating the training plans and instructions for the juniors, who then train the sophomores and the freshmen. Once a semester, you will have a training exercise during a weekend that will be more of a larger, intense type of leadership lab. We also provide training opportunities outside of just being in ROTC. You can study abroad through one of our cultural programs, go to Air Assault School, Airborne School, as well as participate in ROTC-specific student organizations. So we just covered the commitment in school. Now let's talk about the commitment after school. No matter the branch, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, active duty, Guard, or Reserve, you have an 8-year commitment. How much of that is done with the uniform on versus off depends on the route you pick. So if you're competed for active duty, you can expect 4 years active and 4 years in the inactive ready reserves, or the IRR, which means you take the uniform off. You don't report, we don't pay you, but if something was to happen and we call you back, you have to show up. In the Reserves and Guard, it's 6 years active and 2 years in the IRR. And that 6 years active is the 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year you hear about on the commercials. To contract means that you are committing to the Army and plan to complete the ROTC program. The biggest benefit to contracting is that it turns on your ROTC pay and benefits. So I wanted to quickly talk about when you can contract. So if you're just coming through the program, you don't have any scholarship, you don't have any prior military service, we can contract you at the start of your junior year. If you're currently serving in the Guard or the Reserve or have any prior military, we can contract you at the start of your sophomore year. If you are a scholarship winner, then you have to be able to contract in order to get the scholarship. So if you received a 4-year scholarship, then we can contract you the second school starts as long as you're contract ready. Now, I did mention earlier that you have to compete for active duty, so I wanted to explain that in a little more detail. ROTC commissions about 6,000 officers every year. Now, these next numbers that I'm going to use are just completely for conversational purposes. So let's say that Big Army comes up and says that I want 4,000 of those officers to be active duty. While you're going through ROTC up to the end of your junior year, you're actually getting points together to compete for active duty. So they're going to take your GPA, your physical fitness score, your assessment camp results, other things that you've done, any volunteer time that you've done while you've been in college. They're going to take all that together and they're going to make an order of merit number. They're going to assign that to you and you're going to be put on a large order of merit list numbered between 1 to 6,000. Now, if Army says that they only want 4,000 active duty, they're going to draw a line at that 4,000 mark. Everybody above that line, congratulations, you got active duty. If you're below that line, then you'll go into the Guard or the Reserves. Now, let's say that you really want to be a military intelligence officer, and that's what you put down as your first choice. So what's going to happen now is that the military intelligence branch will come up to Big Army and say, well, out of that 4,000, I want 250 to go into military intelligence. So they'll first start with the first 10%. They'll go up to the top 10% out of that 6,000, out of that 4,000, and they'll say, okay, how many of you want military intelligence? They're going to take those automatically off the top and give them their first choice. Then after that, they'll pick a certain amount from different segments of that 4,000. So they might drop down to the 13 to 17 and pick out the military intelligence officers from there. Then they'll jump down to the 21 through 24 and pick out some from there and so on until they fill their quota. So to get guaranteed placement, there's only a few things that can get you guaranteed jobs. So being in the top 10% of the country, you automatically get your first choice. If you went to school to be a nurse and you're graduating as a nurse, you're going to be an Army nurse, guaranteed. And then if you received a guaranteed Reserve Forces duty scholarship, then you will be guaranteed Reserve Forces status. You will not be able to compete for active duty. We'll talk more about scholarships in the next slide. So again, if you're an Army nurse, if you're coming to school to be a nurse, you're going to be a nurse. Our School of Nursing provides up to 2 upper division slots every year, specifically for ROTC students. The school only lets in 45 people a semester. And the really cool thing is that they'll let our students in even if they do make it on their own. So what I mean by that is there's a semester where we have 6 students that were sent into upper division nursing. 2 of those used the upper division slots. The other 4 got in on their own effort. So that's just the type of caliber of students that we have going into the nursing program. And it's very important to make sure that we have a good, solid nursing corps, which is why there are nurse-only scholarships that are available for individuals that are trying to be an Army nurse. All right, so scholarships. Your national scholarship. Let's say you are just about to start school. You haven't started college yet. You're at the end of your junior year, or you're in the mid, or you've started your senior year. You're now eligible to apply for the high school national scholarship program. Any scholarship that I'm going to mention on this page will pay full tuition and fees. You'll get a book stipend of $600 a semester, so $600 in the fall, $600 in the spring. And then you will also receive a monthly living stipend of $420 for every month that you're in school while taking an ROTC class. The tuition and fees do not include flight fees, and you can also convert it into a cash award. So let's say you already come in with some scholarships that will pay for your tuition, or you're in the National Guard and you have the state tuition assistance that's helping you pay for a semester. You can actually change your ROTC scholarship into a room and board scholarship, which is a cash option. So instead of paying your tuition, it would be a $5,000 cash option that goes into your bank account. You'll still receive your living stipend and you'll still receive your books. There's 3 deadlines for the scholarship every year. You can find out what those deadline dates are for the National Scholarship on the ROTC Scholarship website. We are more than happy to help you here at Western, regardless of the school that you're trying to go to. If we are your closest ROTC detachment, then you'll need to do an interview with an ROTC professor, and you're more than welcome to do one here, regardless of the school that you're wanting to attend. Let's say you don't get a national scholarship. Well, we do have campus-based scholarships available, and we can award those anywhere from 4 up to 2-year increments. So just because you don't get a national scholarship doesn't mean that there aren't other ways to help finance your education by either campus-based scholarships or guaranteed reserve forces duty scholarships. So these are meant for individuals who are in the National Guard or Army Reserve or join the Guard or Army Reserve while in school, and then once they commission and graduate, they say that they will stay in the Guard or the Reserve. So these GRFD scholarships are there specifically for those individuals. If you do accept a GRFD scholarship, though, that does preclude you from competing for active duty, but these scholarships pay the same as the national scholarship. So the full tuition and fees, the monthly living stipend, as well as the book stipend. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to this presentation. We hope we were able to answer some of your questions, and I'm sure it might have even formulated some more. So please feel free to reach out and contact us if you have any questions at all. We thank you, and Broncos lead the way.